Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let's start this way. I consider it rather unfortunate that I will be given the opportunity to give a charge on success code. By every stretch of imagination, I do not consider myself successful. Just the other day, I stumbled on a page on Instagram, and it was titled Inside the World's Most Luxurious People. And that page put me under a bit of pressure because on that page, they had the conversation of people spending outlandish money, people sending love notes only on an helicopter. Someone had enough money to put a love note on an helicopter. Someone had enough money to put a birthday cake on an helicopter. Is success really about wealth? I don't know. I think it means different things to different people. But where we both relate is I graduated from the University of Port Harcourt. I had the unfortunate experience of having palpitations over my school fee. I lived in a face me, I face you apartment, which, by the way, brought me issues with my father because he did not understand why his first son will live there. It was alien to our family, though. But I lived there. I had the challenge of many times paying for field trip. So I know what being broken and battered is. Do I really know what being successful is? I still doubt that. Because across the world, I see many successful people. But as a rule of thumb, I use the best in the world as my evaluation. And that puts me under another level of pressure because I say to myself, the idea is to find people you will never best and keep pursuing for that opportunity. So I pursue after those people. I may never think of myself successful. But then again, this is me thinking, maybe, because this was not the plan, maybe Pastor B thought in some form of genius that he would need to put me under new levels of pressure to pursue after success. So who else is going to take the responsibility of giving a success code charge? Well, he gives it to me, and then I accept it. I'll share a few things. I like the theme. Does not say success code. It says success codes. And this is because success is non-binary. It's not one and two. It's an umbrella of several things. So I'm going to share a few thoughts of mine that I think can help us build success. It may not be all-encompassing, but I do think it can help us. Let's start this way. One code for success: learn and learn aggressively. It may seem simple, it might seem like a rhetoric of some sort. But if I do a head count, my suggestion says that we're about 70% of students right here, true or false? I'll share something with you. I graduated with distinction from the Department of Geology, University of Port Harcourt. By the time I graduated, during my final year, we had our project. I had a friend called Waire. Waire's project was was titled Medical Geology. And Waire did all he could to convince us that diamonds were curative for diabetes or ulcer. My memory is quite faint at the moment. Waire did his defense. All the lecturers got upset, including the one we called High Chief Professor. Why? All of them had never heard of what Waire was conversing about. Stay with me. It got into an insult match. You know how your lecturers are, right? They began to abuse Waire, and Waire began to cry because right there he was looking at an extra year. But something happened. A then associate professor called Professor Ukebu was passing by the lab. He had no business being there. I think it was just divinity, just to save Waire. He was passing by the lab, and he heard all of the insults and abuses that they were offering the young man. And if there's anything I know Professor Ukebu for, he's such a great lecturer at Hard Rock and an amazing jester. So he came in to have his own contribution to jesting. His words when he walked in without even knowing the issue was, "What has this fool done?" And then the lecturers took their time to explain apparently what the then fool had done. And I could see it in his eyes, his smiles deflated, his eyes dampened. What was the problem? Professor Ukebu had just come in from South Africa 1 week to the time where he attended a conference where that subject was taught, and that subject had been in the line for the last 10 years, except that our Nigerian lecturers did not know. Let me cut the long story short. Waire was saved. Once I finished my graduation, I did a study. I realized that everything I had learned was 20 years obsolete. The notes have not been updated. I am sure you are somewhere around 40 years. It's 20 years since I left school. If you have to learn and you are African, learn aggressively. You stand no chance with the rest of the world. And that will be one of the points for success code. Are you taking notes? Let me go on to the next part of this. Probably just share 3 and then we'll be good. A lot of people have made several conversations and they will tell you the concept of growing into your dreams. I think the concept of growing is biological. It's not practical in the reality of life. Prince Emmanuel did not grow into what he is. He decided into what he is. Growth at this level is a decision. You decide and you begin to walk in that direction. You may stay hoping to grow. You will never enter what you do not decide. When you decide, you start taking steps in that direction. That's what they now call grow. So, decide into your dreams. Build relationships upwards. One of the things I have learned, especially with the fact that I grew up in a very conservative Christian family and in one of the oldest Pentecostal churches, one of the things I realized was that our parents made a lot of relationship, but on the back of faith, they created relationship downwards. So don't raise up your hands and don't look left or don't look right. Think about your parents for a moment if you grow in a place like me. Almost all the friends who are family friends are people your parents can help. The problem with that is they give you an inheritance of people who cannot help you. And every time you need an opportunity upwards, you are stuck with a crowd of people who can lift you. Guys, you have to change that pattern. Build relationships and build it upwards. Don't dig your pit further. That will be one of the success codes. Well, recently we heard of the death of a young lady, which I'm still thinking about in different forms. But that impressed on my spirit, and I'll leave you with that word also. Don't die thinking about your dreams. Actualize them now. You can keep thinking about your dreams, and you will die without actualizing them. Let me tell you a story, and I will close at that. One of the days I went to visit my mother at the family house. And if you are like me, for those of you who don't live at the family house and you are Nigerian, you can relate. So we all have that place where we have the family key, true or false, which is a code to the success to entering the house, by the way. So I got home and my mother was not at home. There was nobody in the house. So as an average Nigerian person, I found the keys and I let myself into the house. As I walked slowly through the corridor, and Prince Emmanuel knows my family house very well, right? So you can build imaginations. So as I walked through the corridor, standing at the door to the entrance of the sitting room, I could hear the chips of what sounded like birds. So I began to wonder if birds had found their way into the house. I walked slowly, opened the sitting room, and there were no birds. The chip was really strong. And then I followed the sound into the kitchen. I will not forget. I found a couple of chicks, lemon in color, beautiful, I must say. Interestingly, coincidentally, under a lemon sieve. I raised the sieve to look at them, and my first reaction was admiration. These chicks are beautiful. Under that sieve, a bit of rice, a bit of water, a bit of gari. And they are defecated under, by the way. My thought then was, why will anybody bring these chicks into the house and keep them? They're supposed to be outside. Well, there was nobody to answer. I replaced it just the way I saw it. And as I was stepping back into the sitting room, my mother was coming in. So I said to my mother, why do we have chicks in the kitchen, for God's sake? And she goes into a new level of fury, 0 to 100. I've never seen any hen as stupid as their mother. This hen left these chicks outside, rain beat them. This hen left these chicks outside, sun cut them. Hawk has carried one. And as she spoke, all I could hear was the love of a mother. But my constellation was, you are not a fowl. But my mother was very passionate about them. And I could not do anything about it. I could only listen to her own truth at that moment. In fact, I had no thought. I left the house. I think I returned back 1 week after. The same process. I found the key. I let myself into the house. I honestly don't know what I was looking for. I can't remember. But I let myself into the house. And then I go back again to the sieve, because at the door, I could hear the chirping of the chicks, but it was faint this time around. So I walked back to the kitchen, opened the sieve, and I noticed the following. Some were blind. 2 was dead. Some couldn't walk anymore. I stood there and I looked at them, unsure of what to make out of it. I closed the sieve. Unlike the first time, my mother didn't walk in. I sat in the sitting room and I was thinking, and I heard these words so loud and clear in my spirit: don't let anybody love you to death. The reason they died was the love of my mother. If she didn't love them enough to protect them from all that should have strengthened them, she wouldn't have put them in what she considered a safe place. But that safe place designed their destruction. And many of you, and I dare say, have parents who would love your destiny away from you. I challenge you tonight. One of the success code you must realize: don't let anybody love you to death. Thank you.